Alright, everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So, with busy season finally over, we're doing a little bit of catch up before we get back to your regularly scheduled programming, so to speak. Initial plan was for read throughs to resume sometime next week. I still need to play catch up with some of the series I'm planning to do read throughs for. Unfortunately, I haven't had time in the last little while to finish catching up with them, and so to get myself a little bit of rest, downtime after busy season to de-stress, I want to push off the read-throughs for about a week. I think tentative plan right now is about weekend of May 15th is when they'll be coming back, but I'll do a proper channel update video when that we get closer to that day with details about that. With that said, I did get caught up on the Shonen Jump chapters this weekend, just because I wanted to try to avoid spoilers. And then the only other exception to that read-through rule is we are going to get around to the latest volume of Yona of the Dawn. It's purely because I've taken this out from the library, and unfortunately I do need to take it back. And I don't want to have to try to put it on hold again, because it's going to take forever to try to get it back again to do a video for. So we're going to get around to that today, and hopefully I haven't forgotten too much since the last time I recorded a video for this. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so like I said, read-throughs will be back soon. We'll be back to regularly scheduled programming. So if you haven't already, please do consider commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, content should be back to a consistent schedule relatively soon. So subscribe so you don't miss out. But without further ado, let us dive into it with Yona of the Dawn, Volume 38. With story and art by Mizuho Kusanagi. As we have chapter 217, a slightly tightly sealed lid. And we have Suwon with a throb going, again. Why now? It's like my head hurts. And you have Minsu coming in with forgive the intrusion. The dragon warriors are here for Princess Yona. And you see Yona just rubbing her eyes as Gija's like, Your Highness? And she's like, I'm sorry to worry you. I had to look something up. It's like, I was just leaving, as she walks out. And you see Jeha just kind of staring back. And he says to Suwon, her eyes are red. And he's like, huh? It's like, I wondered if she'd cry in front of you. With us, she always forces smiles. I'm jealous. He walks out and Suwon's seems a little taken aback by this. It's like, I think he got the wrong idea. It's like, what I felt from her as she wept was sorrow and despair and intense fury. And he thinks back to Yona telling him, where is he? Tell me! It's like, I'm the one who pushed her to this point. It's like, no, don't look back. I made my choice. I should discard the boxes I don't need, as father taught me. I have no way of knowing where Huck is. I certainly can't spare the time to think about him. So why was I studying that map of Kin Province? He thinks back to Yona just kind of breaking down as his head's throbbing, and he's like, that box is closed and discarded now. And he sees the box just opening and pouring out what I assume is sand. And you see back on the battlefield with wow, sure is amazing seeing all the tribe's armies in one place. And you see the Fire Tribe, Water Tribe, and Royal Army Sky Tribe, along with the Wind Tribe. And you have the Earth Tribes on the front lines, huh? So remind me, where are we going? And you have Kin Province has massive flood damage. We'll be defending it as we advance into South Kai. I guarantee I forgot the names of a lot of the people. I can't remember what Hawk's little bro's name is, but I'm sure it'll come to me once we get further in. It's like, it's so far. And you see back with Keisha reporting to Suwon going, it won't be long before the destroyed bridge to Kin Province is rebuilt. It's like, Your Majesty? It's like throb with Suwon. It's like, Your Majesty, are you feeling? And you hear a Suwon as Yona comes up to him and goes, Suwon, I'll accompany you to the battlefield. And he goes, I said there's no need for that. He's like, are you certain? He's like, can you be sure you won't collapse? It's like, if anything happens to you, I can provide support. Let's end this war as quickly as possible. And then, once it's over, our alliance will be two. I'll be leaving to look for Huck. And Sinha's like, Yona, I'll go too. And Gita's like, I'll accompany you. It's like, okay. And you see Tuon just turning and walking away as Golfon's kind of just soaring ahead. You have a, huh? It's like, wow, it's Princess Yona, the Dragon Warriors. It's like, the Crimson Dragon King and the legendary dragons are with us. We can win this war. And they start chanting like, Princess Yona, Dragon Warriors, and all just like cheering. Yeah, they're really popular, huh? And, is that Huck or is that K-Shook? I think that's K-Shook on such unifying power. Princess Yona and the Dragon Warriors have already become national symbols. Should we really permit this alliance to dissolve? You have the sky. Where am I? This is horrible. Then you have, let's get these corpses buried. It's like, corpses? Oh, god damn. And you see in this like huge burial site that they've dug out, you see a bloodied and wounded Huck lying at the bottom of it. And he's like, what the hell? As a shotgun, some soldiers are tossing dirt on him from above. He's like, wait, I'm not dead. He's kind of staggering to his feet, and one of them's like, hey, that one's alive. And you have a Guz. Huck's trying to run away. He's like, he ran away. He's from Coca. And he's like, my body feels like lead. And he kind of slumps over, like, capture him. And Jiro, wait, please. That man is my husband. And you see this dark-haired woman coming by with a small child next to her. Like, what? It's like, he was swept up in the flood. I'm glad you found him. Please let me take him home. And the soldier's like, here, as he just kind of tosses Huck towards her with a thud. Who the hell is this? Next page, I'm sorry, that's so adorable. See the kid just signing on with like this little grin. He's like, good morning. Mom, he's awake. It's like, Ron, get off him, he's injured. And Huck's like, she's like, my name is Sonon. I can't exactly say you're alright, but you're alive at least. That was a mass grave for battle casualties. You were carried here by the flood. He's like, flood? He tries to sit up with a jolt. He's like, It's like, I feel like I've been torn to pieces. It's like, how many days since the flood? How's Kin Province? And she's like, a week or so. I don't know if there are any survivors, but the standoff with Coca is still happening. It's like, so, I'm in South Kai. And Sonon's like, what's the matter? And he's like, what about the white pouch that was on my belt? She's like, I haven't seen it. And he's like, he tries to stand up and slumps over again. It's like, the Senju herbs. She's like, was it something important? He's like, I can't go back without it. It's like, go back? To where? It's like, we're at war. Anyone from Coca will be executed on sight. If you want to live, you need to stay hidden. This place will soon be Jerthum and a tromp. Jeff, Mom, something's coming. It's a big black shadow. One of South Kai's great generals have arrived. Yeah, it's 217 end. You have on the next one. It's like, what's wrong? You're supposed to be the elite among the Sky Tribe soldiers. You think that can cut it in the Royal Army? Standards for Coca's most powerful squad sure have fallen. The Thunder Beast defended Kin Province with only 12 men or so. And you see a wheeze, the Sky Tribe soldiers. And you see... You see one of the soldiers trying to hold back Judo's like, release me! That man's supposed to be dead by now anyway! I see chapter 218, a horn to begin the battle. It was a Guntei. He's just like lounging on a bed nearby. And you have the flooding, badly damaged Kin Province. The South Kai forces press their advantage but are being held back by General Judo's elite squad. For now. And you have Judo going, go back to Chieftain Palace, you wretch! Some middle-aged man who can only heckle is just in the way. And you see Guntei just laughing and cackling. And he's like, It's like, Lord Guntei, don't reopen your wounds. He's like, go back? When my tribe is finally regaining its morale? And he's like, I'll never understand what's so great about you. It's like, in any case, I need to find and thank the Thunder Beast. I looked away from what happened to King Il and pledged my allegiance to King Suwon. By all rights, the Thunder Beast should be my enemy. Yet he protected the tribe I love. He risked his life for my people. And I hear Princess Yona was a great help in Awa. I may be a traitor to the late king, but I'll do all I can to repay them. And you have General Judo, look! And you see an army flying with like the Phoenix banners nearby. You have countless troops from South Kai. It's like, finally here, are they? It's like, I've never seen such an army. And Judo's like, this is bad. We can't possibly fight them off with our current numbers. And even if we were fully prepared, would we have a chance of defeating them? Overwhelming military strength and money. So this is the Kai Empire. You have what next, General Judo? And he goes, we need to hold out until His Majesty arrives, but if faced with so many, Would even the Thunder Beast have held his ground? It's like, how long am I going to compare myself to that man? It's like, so mature. I know what he'd do. Choose the path that doesn't leave him with regrets. And Guntei's like, hey, don't be reckless, Judo. You should retreat. And he goes, I'm going to buy us a little more time. He's like, you idiot, as he gets on his weapons and gallops off. Yeah, someone's approaching us. General Kurao. Yeah, South Kai has 8 great generals. They're all incredibly powerful. And Yun's like, and you were one of them, right, Mignon? And she's like, I was the weakest. I found ways to climb through the ranks. Generals Val, Ron, and Hitan are decent enough, but the others are terrifying as demons. Of those, General Kurao is the worst. It's like, he's that strong? It's like, it's not just his strength, he's repugnant. He's tormented me constantly. I loathe him. He's Emperor Chagol's brother-in-law and is the most influential of the 8 great generals. Yeah, but who is that man? And you see this asshole-looking guy with like this little, I think, feather tattoo above his brow, with like this long, flowing blonde hair. And he goes, I'm Han Judo, General of Koka Sky Tribe. I challenge your leader to single combat. And he's like, single combat? And he starts laughing out loud. It's like, isn't the Sky Tribe army the Royal Army? A general of the Royal Army using such a cheap tactic, engaging in single combat now? After I brought all these men, the least you can do is face them. Are you really the Royal Army's general? Why'd they give you so few soldiers? Oh, right, they all died in the flood. He's like, how dare you? So compared to being laughed at by that idiot Guntei, being mocked by someone I care nothing about doesn't bother me at all. It's like the weak talk too much and try to convince themselves that numbers equal strength. It's like, is that what you're doing? It's like, what? It's like, I mean, who's ever heard of a powerful nation's general laughing off a challenge like this? Yeah, so insolent, as Kurao's forces all level their spears at him. And you see him pulling out his own weapon, which I feel like is familiar. I feel like this was some kind of medieval torture weapon, but it's got like the spear and it's got like a little crescent-shaped sickle on it with spikes protruding from it. He's like, I'm happy to face you. I just don't like being bored. This will signal the start of the battle as he brings in this giant catapult. And he goes, I won't hold back. And you have a run! Oh shit, as he launches the catapult right towards the Sky Tribe soldiers. And you see as it does, you have a giant pow. Like the boulder, stop moving? And you see Jaeha to the rescue as he just kicks the boulder mid-air and stops it. And then slams it back towards South Kai with a giant thum. And just lands gently. He's like, the boulder, he kicked it back. No way, a human could never. He's like, wait, is that one of the 4 dragon warriors? And you see Yona and as you see Gulfan kind of flying over the troops. You see Yona and the Sky Tribe army, or not the Sky Tribe, yeah, Sky Tribe army behind him. You have Majesty. Guntei's like, whew. It's like the Koka army? It's like, that's a lot of them. He's like, yes, we made it in time. He's like, yeah. I owe you one, huh? It's like, your foot. And he sees that Jaeha's foot's kind of like bloodied and bleeding. And Jaeha's like, whoa, no peeking. It's like, return the favor by getting me new shoes, General. As he just kind of hops away. And Gija's like, Sinha's like, was the flood on the opposite side of the embankment? He's like, yes. It's like, Hawk, where are you? It's like, Hawk. And you see a horn blowing with a battle call. And Hawk's like, that horn belongs to Koka's army. And you have Ron, and and Ack as Hawk's trying to stand up. And Ron just tackles him down. He's like, why don't you get it? You'll be killed if you go outside. Remember how many troops passed through this village last night? And Hawk sits down and bows and goes, I should have thanked you sooner for saving me. I'm in your debt, but I still have to go. And she's like, because of the white pouch? Can't you look for it once you've healed? It's like, I guess that is no other option. I already claimed you were my husband. He's like, it's like, I'm not marrying you. I'm sorry. He just bows and she just smacks him on the head and goes, no one suggested actual marriage. I saved you by pretending to be your wife. You're a rude one, aren't you? I meant you might have a chance by pretending to be my husband. He's like, why are you helping someone from an enemy nation? And she goes, I dislike the idea of killing a living person. So you have chapter 219, Human Weapons. Javin, I found it! So Ron brings the backup pouch. Huck's like, nope, it's not it. It's much smaller. It's like, was it swept away by the flood? If so, I have no way to look for it. Battle's happening right outside the village. Suwon is probably there. I suspect the princess is at the palace. What about the dragons and Yun? And you see a tug as, what was her name? Sorry, give me a second here. Sonon just kind of grabs the back of his, or grabs his robe and goes, stay low or they'll see you. He's like, okay, like, but no one's around. Shouldn't it be fine? It's like, most of our men were drafted to fight. You stand out. It's like, sorry about that. You hear a yipe and a run. It's like, I hate dealing with things like this. What an unruly child. And you see, what's the matter, General Kaji? It's like, don't gather behind me like that. Maintain formation and keep moving. It's like, can I see it, please? And he's like, no. It's like, Ron. It's like, you're the mother of this little would-be thief? It's like, I'm so sorry. It's like, in the capital, thieves lose fingers. It's like, I'm very sorry. Allow me to take responsibility instead. It's like, that seems reasonable. I dislike people, but I'm hesitant to maim a child. The responsibility and punishment are both yours. Not happy, are you? And you see Ron kind of struggling. It's like, I'll make sure you never do this again. It's like, watch closely. As he pulls out the sword and tries to slash at her. And you see Huck get into the rescue. He just grabs her with his fingers. He's like, huh? He's like, what? Who? How scary. It's like, where'd you come from? And Huck just bows and goes, my deepest apologies. The child was helping me search for something. It's like, a search? It's like, I dropped a white pouch. Forgive me for asking, but where did you obtain that pouch? It's like, I found it by the nearby graves. There's an unusual plant inside, so I brought it along. And Huck's like, that's it. It's like, I don't care what happens to people, but it'd be terrible if a plant were stepped on. He's like, questionable priorities, but thanks. And he's like, is it yours? He's like, yes. It's like, but you can't prove it. I picked it up, so it's mine now. It's like, wouldn't you lose your fingers for that in the capital? And you see him just kind of glaring at Huck a little bit. It's like, I've had enough. I won't punish the child, but with the way you move, you're clearly a warrior. What about the war? What are you doing in a place like this? Are you a deserter? And Sonon's like, my husband is recuperating from his injuries. And you see a swoosh as he slashes his sword at him, and Huck just kind of jumps out of the way. It's like, he seems well enough to me. It's like, return to service at once. And Huck's like, huh? It's like, don't question me. There's a battle happening nearby. Stop lazing about. Who's your general? And he's like, it's like General Ron. It's like the only one he knows. He's like, General Ron. When he released the flood, some foot soldiers from Coca wounded him. He was near death for a bit. And he's like, that Coca foot soldier. General Ron will be arriving late. We can't wait for him, so I'll allow you to join my squad. If you refuse, you'll be considered a deserter. Deserters and their families are beheaded, as I'm sure you're aware. And you see back with Center Sky Tribe Army, advance! As Judo's leading his troops. You have the Coca armies approaching. And Karak was like, draw them in. We're aiming for the middle. And you have fire! As they launch off their catapults. And Judo's like, our formation is crumbling. It's like, General, what's your name? Duck, now! As Gija comes riding up, and he catches the bolt like it's in a catching mitt. And then he throws it back towards the sky, or he throws it up into the air with Jay Hutch and kicks it down back into South Kai troops. It's like, we'll take care of the boulders. He's like, okay. It's like, how reassuring. Now I can focus on my own work. And K-Shook's like, I'm sure they didn't imagine their catapult being turned back on them. It's like their focus is being drawn by the white and green dragons. Meanwhile, the Fire Tribe and the Wind Tribe are circling to flank them. And he's like, so, those are Koka's dragons. They're like human weapons. And you have General Corral, it's no use. They'll just return our shots. It's like, that's no fun after dragging it all this way. It's like, we'll launch something else. It's like, what? It's like, we've got human weapons too. Oh, that is low. You have back with Yona. It's like, Yona. It's like, what's the matter? It's like, I just got a bad feeling. Like something will happen to Gija and Jeha. And you see, wait, Zeno, Sinha, as they go riding off. And Jeha's like, still alive, Gija? It's like, it's like, of course. And they see that they're both out of breath. Oh. And you see, dealing with those boulders in succession is rough. It's like your shoe. So I'm sure General Judo will get me new ones. And you have, look, incoming! And as Jaiha's leaping about to kick, he's like, a person? What? He's like, oh no, I'm going to kick him. He's just like gently like levering his foot to catch the person as they plummet back to the ground instead. It's like, a person came flying at us? It's like, Jaiha is still alive. It's like, an Earth Tribe soldier? It's like, are you alright? Oh my god. And you see him going, those captured in Kin province are being put on the catapult. Do you have a what? And you see, oh, god damn. And you see a bunch of people just being flung towards them while landing on the soldiers. It's like, they're hurling Koka's people? It's like, I guess they won't kick people. What's with the shock? This is something Yuhan used to do in Xing. Only with heads, admittedly. They're alive, but they'll die if you don't catch them. You see again JL like slamming into the ground as he catches another one. And you see the same with Gija as well. He's like, the wretchedness. Treating people like objects. This is why I hate war. And you have Yona going, Jaiha and Gija are heading for the enemy. It's like, we'll destroy that catapult. So you have chapter 220, destroy it. And Yona's like, Suwon, is it possible to save the prisoners? It's like, isn't that what the dragons went to do? It's going to be difficult for them by themselves. Please send them back up. He's like, changing our strategy now would cost us. I'd hope the dragons would refrain from acting independently. If they're not careful, we'll suffer heavy losses. And she goes, but our people are being treated so cruelly. And he goes, you really have inherited King Il's ideology. This is war. I never should have bought you. And you see General Corral, the dragons are coming. He's like, take them down. Keep firing that catapult. Launch the prisoners. No, have mercy. It's like, they're loading more people. It's like, curse it. You're Jaiha. As he looks, Gija puts out his arm to block as an arrow strikes it. You have Gija. He's like, go. And he saws off his horse. And Corral's like, haha, I took one down. It's like, this can't continue. The battle where human lives are treated as playthings. And the soldier's like, come on, we'll skewer you. And you see Jaiha just leaping above them. He's like, don't turn back. Demolish it. He just slams straight down to the catapult and shatters it. You have the catapult, like, impossible. You see rumble, rumble, rumble. Jaiha's boots like completely torn. And they're like, so, this is a dragon. And Corral's like, which one is the dragon? Show him to me. It's like, I didn't expect you to destroy my catapult. It's like, what an unbelievably pretty face. But you're still a monster and evidently not very smart. We have 5 more catapults, and now you're surrounded by 100,000 Kai soldiers. What have you come to do by yourself? He's like, I came to kick that ugly smirk off your face. It's like, you look like you can barely stand. It's like, I'll put you out of your misery. Nothing thrills me more than messing up a lovely face. I'll pretty you up and throw you back. And you see a thoom, thoom, as this giant of a man walks up beside Corral. He goes, well then, I'll take you on a stroll through the air. Care for a taste of what a catapult ride is like, especially the fall? And as he lashes out with him and he leaps backwards, you see the giant guy grabbing Jaiha's dragon leg. He's like, stay still, handsome. As Corral cooks him in the face. He's like, you call that a kick? He's like, alright, I'm getting into this. And as he does, you see the effect of Sinha's eyes just like superimposed behind him. Jeff, stay away! Ah! It's like, what's the matter with you? It's like, why did it feel as if my heart was about to be crushed? And Jay was like, idiots shouldn't be here. Ooh. And you see that the shadow dragon just clomping onto the giant that's holding onto Jaiha, who just kind of crumbles. He's like, hey, what's wrong? And you see Sinha standing there with his mask off. He's like, are they dragons too? It's like, Sinha, Zeno, why are you here? You need to stay away with Yona. And Zeno's like, you're about to die. And the young lady said she had a bad feeling. And Sinha's like, Jaiha, you shouldn't add to Yona's grief. We'll find Huck and bring him back. And you see Zeno going, get up, Blue Dragon. He's like, Zeno! And you see behind him as Corral just spears him through and lifts him up into the air. He's like, how naive you think you can walk away? What did you do to my men? Damn your mysterious techniques. Since you came all this way, I'll beat you to death. And Zeno's like, beat me to death? You'll be dead of old age before you manage that. You see back with Suwon, you have General Judo is currently leading Squad 1 in the center. The enemy is no longer launching boulders. It's like have the second and third groups advance. And Yona's like, what about the prisoners and the people Gija and Jeha saved? It's like still on the battlefield. They'll be crushed by cavalry there. Send backup to... He goes, we'll follow the plan. I've made my decision. And you have Princess Yona. Please let me take care of the prisoners as Gunte comes nearby and bows to her. It's like, Gunte, it's like I've put my troops under someone else's command. I'll set out immediately with these guys from Awa. It's like, Yona, princess, we'll save those prisoners. It's like, all of you. It's like, we fought with Hakir in Kin Province, your highness. And Gunte's like, you and the Thunder Beast saved Kin Province and Awa. I'm in your debt. Plus the people being held captive are from my tribe. I care more for my people than anything. I'm grateful beyond words for your concern for them. Please leave this to us. And he goes, King Suwon, after this war, I'll resign my position as general. I'm no longer able to carry a sword. My body is no longer a warrior's. But to the very last, I want to do all I can for my people who still look to me. I'll try not to interfere with the battle. Please permit this. And Keisha goes, perhaps it was unwise to mention abandoning the Earth Tribe prisoners in front of General Gunte? No, he's keenly aware of the choices that must be made in war. Princess Yona and the Thunder Beast are too soft to lead, but it was their softness that saved General Gunte when he was in need. The Thunder Beast was sacrificed in his place, and thanks to that, the general has opened his heart. He would even defy King Suwon's commands to act on Princess Yona's wishes. Showing a respect to Princess Yona that went beyond words, General Gunte headed to one final battlefield. You have Chapter 221, Your Heart's Destination. So you have study the board with a cool head. Don't let yourself see them as people. Think only of the best moves for your pieces. Use whatever you must, even fear or dirty tricks. Immediately discard any unneeded pieces, even if they're your friends. If you don't, all of Coco will descend into hell. You have Your Majesty. Shall we mobilize the archers as planned? It's like the 4 dragons and the prisoners are still on that side. And he goes, please proceed. And the soldiers are all like muttering. It's like, but if we lose the dragons, he goes, there will be no change of plan. And you see a little battle plan laid out of like how they're going to flank the troops. And Suwon's like, we'll avoid facing the vast enemy forces head on by raining arrows on both flanks. The wind and fire tribes will move in to strike simultaneously from the sides. If we hesitate, everything will collapse. They'll overwhelm our troops if things get dragged out. We must move quickly. There will be no change of plans. You have the name of the missing man is Huck. We can't let them take any more from us. I'll try not to interfere with the battle. Please permit this. And he goes, please, let me see the board objectively. To take control of the Kai Empire, even death is acceptable. As he's just like taking the arrow out of his arm. He's like, that hurts! It's like, did Sinhan Zeno enter enemy territory? I sense their presence. As you crick, 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 as soldiers are climbing up. And you have a guh and a general corral. It's okay, he's still alive. It's like, whoa now, what's your deal? I'm pretty sure I skewered you. It's like, is he immortal? He's a dangerous one. I'm sure Emperor Chagol would be pleased to have him. Yeah, wake up, big guy. Take him away as a gift for Emperor Chagol. Right before he does, Kija just comes flying in from the back and slams him into the ground. And he goes, run! He's like, Kija? And you see a hail of arrows coming down. You have, Green Dragon, get the prisoners! And you see the dragon warriors, they're over there. It's like, this is awful. Our army's firing at the dragon warriors. And Keishuk's like, anxiety's flooding the troops. We bought the 4 dragons to boost morale. If we kill them, it'll have the opposite effect. Princess Yona will probably never forgive us for that. There will be a new rift between those two. It's not like when he killed King Il. Those who revere the Crimson Dragon King will take Princess Yona's side. He made the wrong choice. And you see Suwon kind of swaying in his saddle. As Keisha's like, an attack? Not now. And you see clop, clop, clop as Yona rides closer to provide support. And she turns, looks back, and goes, the 4 dragons will be fine. He's like, Princess Yona saved us. And Suwon's like, I need to get back up. And Yona just kind of grabs on his back and goes, stay still. If you call Minsu, people will notice. Try to bear it. And he's like, why are you supporting me? It's like, I may have condemned the 4 legendary dragons and Huck. Huck may be gone now. It's like, no, this is wrong. It's not what I need right now. So what about the 4 dragons? It's like, if I don't open my eyes and study the board closely, we'll lose. It's like, where's Huck? It's like, what about Huck? It's like, shut up! Discard them! He thinks back to, welcome, Suwon. It's like, when that day comes, I'll be your right-hand man. I'll stand by both of you until the very end. It's like, I can't abandon them. You see, thok, thok, thok. It's like, the archers are amazing. The enemy can't do anything with arrows raining down like that. So it looks like Lord Huck isn't here after all. The battle will end faster than expected. It's like, well, charge in and end this. Move! You have okay. It's like, ready? General Guntei's orders are absolute. And you see the Wind Tribe army charging into battle. Jeff Taeyu, look! And you see a Doom as there's another lineup of soldiers. It's like, those are South Kai flags. Reinforcements? How can there possibly still be so many? What do we do if we charge in? They'll go after us. It's like, Taeyu! It's like, Your Majesty, South Kai reinforcements from the rear. And Yona's like, Suwon's hand is far too cold. Right now, he's barely able to stay astride his horse. It's like, what should we do, King Suwon? It's like, what should we do? And you see, this flower is completely wilted, and General Karao's division is on the verge of defeat. I'd hope we finish this quickly. And you see that's Kaji playing with little senju herbs. You have chapter 222, The Day We Stood Shoulder to Shoulder. It's like, you've already prepared yourself for this, haven't you? Suwon. It's like, can you hear me, Suwon? Let's withdraw the wind and fire tribes at once. If they charge in, they won't stand a chance if those reinforcements target them. Pull them back for now, have them join the water and earth tribes so we can surround South Kai's first squadron and attack them. If we can break up the first squadron, they'll be forced to retreat. We can drive them toward the reinforcements. Is that feasible? What are your thoughts? It goes, wind and fire are already in position. They won't make it in time. Any sudden change could disrupt our formation. Would it be a manageable disruption to have archers help wind and fire by fending South Kai off? So that would be impossible. It's like, K-Shook, signal wind and fire to fall back. It's like, huh? It's like, have the archers support them. And he's just surprised by Yona giving orders as he goes, at once. Yeah, please make it in time. And you see the Wind Tribe army have, Taeyu, we're being signaled to fall back. It's like, understood. It's like, Fire Tribe army, fall back. It's like, I'm glad for such quick and decisive orders. Yeah, Wind and Fire Tribe responded magnificently. It's like, one tiny mistake and Wind and Fire would have been attacked. I was taking too long to decide, but Yona made up for it. And Kaji's like, oh dear. General Karao's division is done for. You have General Kaji, those archers are keeping us from advancing. It's like, even so, we can't pull back. We're going to end this war and get Lady Mainyan back. You archers are in the way. It's like, scatter, as he launches another catapult. And Yona's shuddering. He's like, no, the archers are in danger. And you have a Thum as the boulders land on them. It's like, no, the archers. Those reinforcements have a catapult too. You have reporting. Half the archers on the right flank have been wiped out. And Suwon's like, Yona, it's like, there's no need to burden yourself with this. It was my decision. It's like, what good would it do her for me to offer comfort? Nothing I can say will help her. It's like, Huck. It has to be Huck. It's like, what am I looking for at this point? And you see they're readying the catapult again. It's like, Dragon Warriors, save us! Yeah, have the archers fall back. Excuse me, need a drink because my throat is running dry. And you see, as it's about to launch, the rope for the catapult has been cut. You have What? What happened? General Kaji, the catapult's rope snapped. It's like, snapped? It's got this moment? It's like, what happened? It's like, looks like the catapult malfunctioned. That was absolutely Huck. It's like, thank goodness. General Kaji, I have a message from General Hitan. Spread out toward their flanks and advance. It's like, fine, advance. And as Kaji's walking by, you see that the rope is indeed been cut, and he notices and goes, that looks like damage from a blade, as if someone cut it. But who? You see in the middle of the troops, I assume that's Huck hiding out somewhere in there. And Judo's like, where's our leader? The South Kai army's already collapsed. Like, just a little more. Jeff, Taeyu, something's wrong at our back. And you see, I assume, South Kai soldiers clinging at them. It's like, when did they get behind us? What about the archers? It's like, they're crushed by the catapult. And you have a what? It's like, they're fast. I thought we were overtaking them, but the reinforcements already circled around us. We're caught in a pincer. It's like, this is bad. We already have our hands full with the enemies in front. It's like, young chief, I'll defend the rear. It's like, huh? I can get there fastest by horse. Don't worry about it. Just keep pushing forward. It's like, Hyongdae, you... It's like, make sure you don't die, idiot. My orders are absolute. He's like, leave it to me. It's like, this is my fault. I was so focused on the enemies in front of us that I endangered everyone. It's like, if there's anyone faster than me, come on out. And you see Hyungdae just like rushing through the troops. It's like, I won't die. Taeyu's orders are absolute. And you hear, Hyungdae! Some soldiers are bearing down on him. You see Huck just lashing out with his own spear, knocking them off their horses. Jeff, huh? And I die! And he does the same in the other direction. Jeff, you scum, what are you doing? And Huck's just like, oh, sorry. It's my first battle, so I'm still getting used to this. And he's just swinging his spear flag around. It's like, sorry if it's dangerous. It's like, it is dangerous. Why do you have a flag and a spear? It's like, enough, move aside. It's like, huh? Come on, I came all this way, let me do something. It's like, you're in the way. It's like, you, what are you doing? It's like, General Kaji, we're so sorry. This rookie ruined our formation. It's like, hey, you, get to the rear. It's like, yes, sir. It's like, hold on. Shouldn't a rookie be a foot soldier? It's like, I'm a great rider. Kaji slashes his helmet off. It's like, I thought so. It's you. It's like, tell me, did you cut the catapult's rope? And Huck's like, no idea what you're talking about. Do you have a little vet after story? All right. Again, kind of mixed feelings on this volume. Like, I don't know, like, Huck's rescue feels a little bit too convenient. Like, oh, there's just a woman that happened to be nearby who's like, oh, I don't want, like, innocent people to die, blah, 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 and just kind of came to the rescue. It was a little bit too convenient for excuses to, like, why Huck would be spared. Be kind of forced to join the army and kind of, like, he'd be, like, involved back in the plot again. It's kind of a minor quibble. It really depends on how her arc kind of plays out the more we learn about her. But, again, honestly, at this point, I'm also kind of used to it because, again, I feel like Yona of the Dawn does have a certain problem with kind of committing to villainizing its villains or kind of committing to some of the more some of the aspects of its story. And I feel like this battle was an example of it, where we're kind of like, being told how heartless Scout Kai is. And we kind of get glimpses of that with, like, them using troops as cannon fodder with the catapults and everything, and etc. Like, talking about, like, how they don't value lives. But it really feels like we're being exposited towards that message rather than being kind of shown that message about, like, this is the brutality of war. Like, this is what it turns men into. This is what it makes men do, during that. I kind of feel like a lot of that falls flat with not being able to see kind of, like, body horror elements, or kind of seeing, like, the carnage being undertaken. Not that it's necessarily necessary to, like, have, like, just blood and gore everywhere to kind of drive that point home, but I feel like for Yona especially, it would have been more impactful to have at least some moments of that interspersed kind of throughout this volume, especially because we know that Kusanagi-san doesn't really have an issue with kind of body horror, gore, or horror in general, with Xeno kind of being prime examples. Like, I've pointed this out before, but Xeno's kind of, like, immortality effects have been some kind of, like, the goriest and most horror aspects of the series that we've seen. And I feel like this battle could definitely have used some of that, but I feel like Kusanagi-san felt like they're drawing back a little bit from that because they didn't want to go too hard in on that. Especially with, like, the catapult people, like, them being, like, most of them being saved and being alive when they're thrown, like, it kind of lessened the impact of that a little bit. That said, I'm curious again what the eventual fallout from this is going to be. Because I think this volume again kind of reinforces the idea that the Dragon Warriors are not invincible and they're not infallible. As we've seen, like, they can take damage, over relying on them, and their mythic status will eventually do more harm than good. It's like, yes, they are superhumans, but even superhumans do have their limits. So in that aspect, like, yeah, Suwon's whole, like, insistence on not relying on them, not caring about, like, whether they're put in harm's way or not, makes sense. As it's like, all right, yeah, of course you can't rely on them, because if something were to happen to them, like, you can't rely on them after that to kind of win this battle against the army. So you have to find kind of other ways to do it instead. So I'm curious to see what the fallout from that will be. Again, with the Suwon stuff, again, it feels like Kusanagi-san's trying to hold back from being like, from having Yona judge him too harshly, because it feels like he's being set up for like a redemption arc or forgiveness from Yona, where she's like, I forgive you and your parents for what you did to my family and to King Hill. I know you didn't mean it, something like that. So I don't know, I've got mixed feelings on that, because again, Suwon's kind of like doing the whole thing of like, my father taught me that sacrifices must be made. You can't think of them as people. And it feels, I don't know, the fact that the series seems like it doesn't want to pass judgment on that, feel like it's a little bit limiting. Like every time Yona's kind of surprised by like, I can't believe he would, order them to fire on the Dragon Warriors. I can't believe he ordered them to fire on his own troops. It's like at a certain point, when are you going to stop being surprised that he is willing to cross certain lines, certain boundaries for his visions and goals? Like, it's kind of that question of like, all right, we'll have to see where that ends up, I think, before I pass judgment on it. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll have to sit with my thoughts and do like a more detailed analysis of Yona at some point with like my thoughts and feelings on it, because it's kind of hard to get across in just like at the end of a volume review. But yeah, interesting volume, but I feel like the impacts of some of it were lessened a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I think the next English release volume is coming out in August sometime, so it's going to be quite a while before then. So I'll try to see before that point if I can do a reread of the series to kind of refresh my memories on some of the earlier volumes, because it's been so long and took me such a while to like catch up on everything. So I'll go and see if I can do a reread on that to kind of refresh my thoughts and have some stronger analyses and opinions. But yeah, apart from that, again, I think the trio of Yona, Suwon, and Huck are still some of the more well-written, intriguing characters, as they're like the main kind of trifecta of the series. I still think they're some of the more interesting, well-written. Their plot stuff is always the most interesting. So looking forward to more of that in the next volume. So like that said, read-throughs will be back hopefully in a couple of weeks from now. Like I mentioned, I'll do a proper channel update sometime next week. As always, if you like my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, this is Ash. I will talk to you all later.